Gadget World for the best technical advice.
Hello everyone, I welcome you all to a brand new episode of Gadget World. Here we're going to give you all the information on latest technology and gadgets. And today I'm going to introduce you to 3 very interesting gadgets. So all you technology lovers, stay tuned. Okay, so today I'm going to start this episode with a very good news for all the aspiring movie makers out there. Blackmagic is a new movie cam, the latest one in the market. So today I am going to introduce you to Blackmagic. So this segment is dedicated to all the aspiring movie makers out there. Right now we have a new product called Blackmagic, and the most, striking feature of this camera, it's a movie camera that you can buy at the price of a DSLR. So it is a budget movie camera, and talking about its quality, all the users have reviewed it and rated it as very good. So I think this one is for all the aspiring movie makers out there. While I told you that Blackmagic is pocket friendly, as in it would actually fit into your budget, it would also literally fit into your pocket. That is, it is a highly portable movie camera. That is, it is a highly portable movie camera. So when I went through the reviews of users so far, one of the drawbacks that they said is the fact that you can only record videos on the RAW format, which gives you huge files, and then the processing takes a long time. So that is the only drawback that you see in this camera. Otherwise, it is a very portable and a very affordable movie camera. The Blackmagic camera comes with 13 stops of dynamic range, a 2.5K image sensor and audio port. It records 12-bit RAW, ProRes and DNHD formats. It includes DaVinci Resolve and Ultrascope and records to removable SD drives. Talking about the positives and negatives of this camera, the positive is definitely the fact that you get a movie camera at this price. Well, it is the best of its class. At this price range, you could not get something better than this. And on the downside, we can talk about the fact that image resolution takes a really long time, and also reviewers said after their first use that in low light situations the camera could actually perform a little better than it does right now. Other features of this amazing camera Blackmagic include EF and ZE lens mount, as well as 13 stops of dynamic range. The camera comes in a very elegant case made in aluminum, and the camera can be either handheld or be used on a very, a normal tripod. Another thing about this camera is the fact that it requires no special cables. Any standard cable can be used in it. Also has a stereo mini headphone jack. It comes with a Media Express software through which you can directly capture images from the camera's Thunderbolt port. It enables one to take wide dynamic range images and make post-production color correction decisions. This amazing camera comes for a price of 2,54,750 rupees. international camera experts who have actually used Blackmagic have overall rated it above 4 out of 5 stars. And here from Gadget World, we also are giving an overwhelmingly positive review for Blackmagic. At this price, this is the best you could bet. Next, we have here for you a smartphone. This is LG G Flex. Now, the most important, the distinct feature about this phone is the fact that it can be curved or rolled up or bent. Now, it has a curved screen, which I'll be showing you later in this episode, so stay tuned. The new LG G Flex is a curved device, and it could be a precursor to what future could look like. The only contender for this phone is a Samsung Galaxy Round, but the problem is the Galaxy Round is curved horizontally, whereas LG is curved vertically. I shall begin talking about this phone with its looks and feel. Well, this phone is very attractive, and those who have used it have reviewed that everybody actually takes notice of this phone. They get curious and come and ask about this phone. Another thing is the size of the phone. It is 700mm, which can be rolled or curved up into a 400mm phone. Well, how to roll it or bend it is actually given in the manual. The only thing you have to do is just apply some pressure at the center of the phone, and then you can curve it or roll it up to a 400mm very compact piece. Just like LG's flagship G2, this phone also has its buttons on the rear. Now, the back side of this phone is curved and smooth, and it promises to absorb all these scratches and impacts of our day-to-day rough use. But the users of this phone have found this feature rather less working, and the users are not very happy with the scratch-proof promise of this phone. The highlight of this phone is without doubt its huge 6-inch screen with high definition, and also it comes with the very regular features like the 3.5mm jack for charging, as well as for USB connectivity, as well as a headphone jack. LG has bestowed G Flex with a 2.2 GHz Snapdragon 800 processor. For users who would like to load up this phone with their favorite movie collections to watch it in this high definition curved screen, there is bad news, because the memory is not expandable. It just has 32 GB internal memory, which is not expandable. Also, the battery is fixed and is not removable. This phone comes with a 13 megapixel rear camera with an LED flash, and now the front camera, which can be used for Skype calling and other video calls, is a 2.1 megapixel camera. Coming to the software, one wonders why LG chose Android 4.2.2 version over the latest 4.4 KitKat version for this very expensive phone. Now, as far as the weight of this phone goes, it's slightly on the heavier side, weighing around 172 grams. If you're looking for a pure Android experience, just like any of the other phones like Samsung phones or Apple phones, you're not going to get that, because LG has its own version, or its own, customized version of Android, which has taken inspiration from both Samsung as well as iOS operating systems. Just like any other LG phone, this one comes bundled up with LG apps like LG Backup, Q Theater, and so on. Now, talking about battery life, it seems like this phone is clearly a winner. In our own test, we actually played a video for 13 hours before the battery actually died out. So that is a lot of battery life, and so for those of you who really want a lot of battery life, this would be a good choice. Okay, so I shall summarize the pros and cons of this phone for you. Well, the biggest positive of this phone is undoubtedly the fact that it is groundbreaking, revolutionary. The fact that this curved screen with high definition could be the future of phones. So if you are a gizmo freak who wants to see the future before the rest, this phone is just for you. Another major advantage or plus of this phone is the fact that it has a very good battery life. Now the battery stays for at least 2 days on regular usage. Now for us Indian users, I know how important this is. Apart from that, well, the processor gives you great performance. Now with the Snapdragon 800 plus GPU 330 Adreno. Now the other side, the drawbacks, the flaws of this phone include the fact that it is very expensive. Now I'll come to the price, but before that, the other thing about this phone is of course the Android version, which is 4.2.2, while it could have gone for the latest version, which is 4.4 KitKat. Now that definitely is a disadvantage. Now the price, as I told you, is it's a very expensive phone. It comes to around 68,000 rupees. Now that definitely is a disadvantage. Now it's time for the most awaited part of this segment, which is the Gadget World verdict on G Flex, LG's G Flex. Now we would say the best thing about this phone is the fact that it is revolutionary, and if you are a gadget freak with the money to buy it, go for it. But for the rest of us, this phone is just beyond our reach. Of Android phones, we know that Nokia was losing its market, but I know that in India we have lots of ardent Nokia followers and fans, and for them there's good news because Nokia has released its new phone. Yes, so the good news is that Nokia is out with its new series of Android phones, and today I have here with me the new one, that is Nokia XL, right here. So starting with the exteriors, well, the most striking feature of this budget phone is the fact that it has a 5-inch screen. Now this is much larger than the other versions, which is Nokia X and X Plus, which have 4-inch screens. Yeah, so from the exteriors of this phone, it's pretty clear that Nokia is targeting the youth market. The finish of the phone is rather plasticky rather than metallic, so I think it would be more for a rough use. Moving on to the other specifications of our Nokia XL, it runs on a Snapdragon 1 GHz processor with 768 MB of RAM. It'll be good to remember that the processor of this phone is dual core in the place of the latest quad core, as well as the internal memory is 4 GB, but it is expandable. All of us, regardless of age and gender, are totally obsessed with selfies these days. Now, talking about the photo capacity of this phone, it has a front as well as a back camera. The back camera comes with 5 megapixel resolution plus a flash, and the front camera is a 2 megapixel camera, but it doesn't have a flash. So yeah, there wouldn't be any dearth for taking selfies with this phone. Now Now the main attraction of this phone is of course the Android, user interface, but then it's not exactly the, pure Google Android experience that you get from this, because Nokia has really built upon, the open source software that Android is, and it's almost unrecognizable from its Google, affiliation. So more about the operating system. Well, this operating system is called Nokia X 1.0.1, and users say that it is not as clean or smooth as the iOS or the latest Android KitKat system. So instead of the regular Google Maps and Play Music, Nokia XL comes with Hear Maps and Hear Music, and it uses, instead of the Google Cloud, it uses the Microsoft OneDrive cloud service. Catering specifically to the Indian market, which loves dual SIM capabilities, this phone also has dual SIM slots. And one thing I'd like to mention is only in a SIM 1 could you actually activate 3G services, whereas SIM 2 we could use only 2G services. The most common arguments made by Nokia loyalists while they buy a phone are two. Firstly, a Nokia phone doesn't break in a drop or two, and the second one is the fact that its battery life is very good. Now on those counts, well, if you open this back cover, you can access the battery as well as the dual SIM slots, and the battery actually performs very well. On a 3G call, we can actually go on till 13 hours without a problem. Now it's time for me to summarize the pros and cons of this phone. Well, the positives of the phone include definitely the price. Now I'll come to that in a bit. Apart from that, well, the screen size is pretty good, and the fact that Nokia has entered the Android market is also very good. The downsides of this phone include the fact that its processor is only dual core and its RAM is only 768 MB. Apart from that, you won't get the pure Android experience, but then if you are a Nokia loyalist and you're not happy with the Microsoft interface, this is the phone for you. Okay, it's time for me to reveal the price of this handset. It is 11,999 rupees. It's time for the final verdict on Nokia XL. Well, this is a comeback phone for Nokia in the Android market. Now, a 5-inch display phone at 12,000 rupees, I really think this would be a good comeback for Nokia. Wind up this episode of Gadget World. Next episode we'll be back with lots of news on the latest gadgets and technology. Do tune in to Gadget World next episode, and until then, it's me, Josephine, saying goodbye.